Good morning. Today we are continuing working with those expressions and equations. Today we are doing PO39. So it is a power objective. So we need to make sure that we are really understanding this. It's been a little bit easier. We're building up to more harder things. So I can solve an equation with addition or subtraction. What do you think of when you hear the word algebra? Most people think about solving for a variable. What number goes in before that letter? There's so much more to it than that, but variables are a big part of it. Here are 3 ways you might think about how to solve a basic equation. And we're going to use whatever method works best for you. So we have n plus 12 equals 19. We could use logic. What number plus 12 would equal 19? We could do opposite operations. The opposite of adding 12 is subtracting 12. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides of the equal sign. What we do to one side, we do to the other, just like with fractions. Okay, we're doing equivalent fractions. Whatever you multiply the top by, you multiply the bottom by. Same thing with these equations. Whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, we have to do to the other side of the equal sign, so they stay balanced. Let's see what that would look like. So we are going to write out, why? It was just working for me. I'm going to have to type it. So, what this would look like is we have n plus 12 equals 19. We keep the n on this side, and we want to subtract 12 from both sides. So that way, we have plus 12 minus 12 gives us 0. So that gives us n by itself. So that would be n equals, then we have 19 minus 12. 19 minus 12 is 7. So we're not saying n minus 12, we're saying plus 12 minus 12. So that would be 0, right? Plus 12 minus 12 gives us the 0. So actually, let's line up our equal sign. Then we have 19 minus 12. We can combine those like terms. 19 minus 12, we can say is 7. So we know n equals 7. This is what we're working up to using in the future. We're just going to be doing the balancing using opposite operations. We're not, with this math that we're doing today, we could use logic, we could use fact families, because it's not as challenging of math, but just know this is coming. So when I talked about the last objective, following the steps and really following the steps that I'm lining up, we're going to be getting into 2-step, 3-step equations where it gets more complicated. So we really do need to follow the steps. On today's assignment, we can use the logic, we can use fact families. If we know n plus 12 equals 19, then we know 12 plus n equals 19, because adding, we can flip it. We could say 19 minus 12 equals n, or 19 minus n equals 12. We would go with this one, 19 minus 12 equals n. That would tell us what n is. Because we could put that 7 in up here. 7 plus 12 equals 19. We know n equals 7. So there are the 3 different ways that we can solve for today's math. We could use logic, we could use opposite operations, we could use our fact families. Which equation, if we look at the fact families, we want to look at which equation's most helpful. Well, the one that tells us what n equals. So 19 minus 12 is the most important fact family. Tells us what our n would be. So now it says, using all three methods from above each time, solve for the variable in the equation. Show how you can check your answer to make sure you are correct. How would we check our answer? Ava?
Would you do like the answer plus?
We would put that variable in, right? So if we're solving for n, we're going to go back and we're actually going to put n into the equation and see if 14 plus that number truly does equal 25. If it doesn't equal 25, then we know we made a mistake. So if we're going to use all three methods for 14 plus n equals 25, how would I do logic for that? What question would I be asking? I would ask, what number plus 14 equals 25? So think about that. Not quite. 14 plus 10 would be 24. 14 plus what number would be 25? Zelda?
11.
11. Right? So we can just use that logic. 14 plus what number? So that's logic, asking that question. Then we want to do opposite operations. 14 plus n equals 25. What do I want to do? If it's a positive 14, what do I need to do to it, Jimena? I am going to do that. What do I do on this side? What do I have to subtract? So think about that. You said, well, we're going to go over here and we're going to subtract 14. Whatever I do to that side, I have to do to this side. I have to do that minus 14. So 14 minus 14 is going to get me my 0. And then plus n, that's the same as saying a positive n. Please stop. I don't know why we think tapping on our water glasses would be a good idea as I'm teaching a lesson. This is on the recording. Let's be respectful, please. So if I have 14 minus 14, I would get a 0, right? So 14 minus 14 gives me the 0 plus n equals, what is 25 minus 14? It's that 11. So do we have to say 0 plus n? No, we would just say n, because 0 plus something, it doesn't add to it at all. So we would just say n equals 11. And the last one is our fact family. So we would say 14 plus n equals 25. N plus 14 equals 25. 25 minus n equals 14. And 25 minus 14 equals n. Which one of these equations of our fact family is the most helpful? Madison?
25 minus 14.
Yeah, that 25 minus 14 equals n is going to be the most helpful to us because it's going to give us the answer of what n equals. Ava? Okay, so you have an idea of what we're doing for the math? So homework for tonight for you, okay? Good job watching the clock. Thank you. All right, so It says using all three methods. I used all three methods. I did my logic question. What number plus 14 equals 25? I did my opposite operation, subtracting 14 from both sides, so I get n by itself equals that 11. I wrote out my 4 fact families for this equation, and I know that I'm going to circle. I can't use the pen right now, but I would circle 25 minus 14 equals n, because that's the most helpful. Now it says show how you can check your answer to make sure you are correct. So I'm going to show that by actually putting my variable in. If I said n equals 11, I'm going to go up to the n, and I'm going to say, I'm going to write it out, and I'm going to solve for it. So 14 plus 24 is 25, and 25 does equal 25. So I'm going to write all that out to show that it is correct, that n does equal 11, and I proved it here because 14 plus 11 does equal 25. So all 3 of these need to be written out, and you need to show how you checked it. So if we go to our next one, what is the question? Our logic question. N minus 16 equals 4. What would be our logic question? Zelda?
What number minus 16 equals 4?
Yeah. So that is our logic question. Now we have our opposite operations. So we have n minus 16 equals 4. What do I have to do to get n by itself? I've got n. What operation do I have to do? What's my opposite operation? Zelda?
Addition.
Addition. So right underneath it, just like I'm typing it right underneath, you're going to write it right underneath. We're going to say n plus 16 equals 4 what? What do I have to do to the other side of the equal sign? Claire? What did I do on this side of the equal sign? I added 16. Whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other side of the equal sign. So if I added 16 here, I have to add 16 over here. So now if I have minus 16 plus 16, a negative 16 plus a positive 16, it's going to zero out. So I know minus 16 plus 16 would give me that n plus 0. So we don't have to write it because we don't have to write that 0. And then I have to do the math. What is 4 plus 16? Madison? 20. So we know that n equals 20. Now we have our fact families. We've got n minus 16 equals 4. What would be another part of my fact family? Anime?
16 plus 4 equals n.
What would be another one? There's always 4 with our fact families. What's another part of my fact family? I have 1 minus and 1 plus. But remember, there's 2 pluses and 2 minuses. Madison?
4 plus 16 equals n. Plus 4 equals.
I would say n plus 4 equal,
n plus 16.
I have Wait, let me think this one through. So if we had 16 plus 4, we would do 4 plus 16. Is that what you had said, Madison?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting thrown by having to type it in. Or we could do n minus 4 equals 16. Okay, so then we come down here and we check it. We know n equals 20, so we have to put that into our initial equation. 20 minus 16, equals 4. 20 minus 16 is 4, equals 4. Yep, 4 does equal 4, so we're proving that it does work. That variable does give us that answer of 4. Any questions? So you're going to do this one on your own. You're going to come up with your question for logic. You're going to do your opposite operations showing every step, because it is coming up where we need to know how to do our steps. Then you're going to do your fact families, and you're going to prove that one side does equal the other when you put your variable in. So do all 3 methods for n minus 14 equals 71. But on our next page, it says, which is your favorite method out of those 3, and use that to solve it. But you still have to show your work. And I do want you to show that it is a correct answer that you came up with. Plug it back in for your variable. So you need to show your work, and you need to show that it actually is the correct answer. So plug it back in like we did up here when we were showing that it works. 25 equals 25. So plug it in for your variable. Any questions on today's math? Okay, if you are Madison.
Wait, so we just do like what we just did, like on all these?
You pick which method you want to use. You don't have to use all 3 methods. You could use logic, you could use the opposite operations, you could use fact families.
Okay.
Pick one, but then you have to take what your variable answer is and put it in to show that it is correct.
Like n equals.
Yeah, so you would put your n equals 11 into the equation and solve it.
Okay.
Does it equal each side, balance out and equal each other? Any other questions? Okay, if you are watching at home, we hope you are well. We hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day. Yes.